Ms. Mahalbahu, thank you very much for giving us this opportunity to continue our discussion at the successful event back in March in the DFS Forum, where you gave a wonderful presentation about the recent developments and what's happening in the payments arena in Jordan. Mainly Jomo Pay and all the developments and the new systems that were developed and adopted by the Central Bank of Jordan. As the Executive Director of the Payments Department in the Central Bank, there has been numerous questions and given the limited time available at the forum, many people didn't get the chance to ask you these questions. So we're taking this opportunity to ask these questions, discuss them, and get your feedback on them.
It's my great pleasure. Anytime, we are always available to answer questions and even to discuss any opportunity for improvements and enhancements.
Thank you. Let's start with I have a long list of questions. So let's start with what we finished at the DFS Forum. We were discussing the question of cryptocurrency, or the most famous of them, I think, Bitcoin, and many other services like that. So the first question is what the CBJ opinion regarding these types of new currencies evolving, and if the CBJ, the central bank, would authorize or considering authorizing the use of them in the future.
Actually, this is a very debatable question. For the Bitcoins in specific and other virtual currencies, everyone knows very well that the Central Bank of Jordan issued an announcement not to allow the licensed financial institutions to deal with them, because as we know, still it's like very lightly understood from all regulators in the market. This new virtual currency attracted the conventional investors as well as the black markets, and since it's very anonymous and couldn't be well monitored and regulated, we preferred not to allow the licensed institutions in Jordan to deal with them. But we are still following up on the improvements, and we are cooperating with other regulators and central banks worldwide. We are not rigid. Once there is like any evidence that it could be well used and monitored, regulated, we might reconsider our previous instructions. However, till this moment, within the horizon, we cannot see any changes in our vision. But there's something that is been like evolving recently in the market. There is an initiative to allow the digital currencies as legal tender digital currencies, but to be controlled by central banks or centralized authoritative unit in any country. So we will not keep on allowing like people, miners, to issue this currency. Once there is like some agreement within the central banks on this new innovation, we might reconsider. But in this way, the way it's now used, there is like high volatility in the currency itself. It's not regulated, no safeguarding. It's totally different than e-money. And something to mention, there's a huge difference when we talk about digital currencies and virtual currencies, or let's say digital money and virtual currency. Bitcoin is a digital currency, but not all digital money are virtual. So in Jordan, we allowed electronic money or digital money, but with safeguarding the money of people, monitoring, and all security measurements, but we cannot allow it till this moment. However, for blockchain as a technology, it's outstanding, and we are looking in depth to benefit and optimize the fintech we are going towards within our systems as a technology, but not for issuing or like mining currency. Minting For us, it's okay, but not for
Yes.
minors.
I guess now with that, I guess you answered the second question about cryptocurrency or virtual currency, which is regarding any strategy for the central bank regarding this issue. But I think you answered that by saying that in the future you're studying that, you're open to any new technology that proves its secure reliability towards the financial system. Let me go to the new services that have been launched in the market, the mobile wallets.
Mm-hmm.
And till now, as we all can see, that it's the starting phase is critical.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you envision the reaching the critical mass of customers in order to make this service work?
Reaching mass people for adoption, from our point of view, the critical player in this regard is the government. And we've been contacting with governmental institutions because in Jordan, as in most of the countries, G2P, government to people, in terms of amount, it's almost always small and a huge number of transactions. Vice versa for some types of person to government payments. This is very critical for mass adoption, and we found very positive reaction from the government institutions to support and to cooperate because it will benefit them as well. So this is very critical. Trust and confidence could be the most critical factor, not initiative factor, because people cannot jeopardize transacting in money if they don't trust the institution, the ecosystem, the regulator. That's why from previous experience, we put our efforts to control the operation, to put some comprehensive regulatory framework. We are now working on robust financial consumer protection laws and regulations. So in this regard, this is like a very critical factor, but for mass adoption, I believe government payments and transactions services would help a lot.
Personally, I tried one of the services, the newly allowed at the e-Fawatiircom system.
Yeah.
I made a person-to-government payment, and the service actually reached to my doorstep. So that was an amazing experience, personal experience for me, taking advantage of such services. So I can see how the central bank envision the near future of doing all these transactions and just to save money and time for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another question, I think it's related to the previous one, is what are the steps taken to tap early adopters and consumer behavioral change?
When it comes to changing the behavior of consumers, this is a very critical part. We already prepared some awareness campaigns regarding all digital financial services, focusing on mobile payments. We will launch it after Eid, hopefully. This is one of the important things. The other thing, as I mentioned before, government support for their government payments. We have many things in the horizon. You will be surprised, but for cultural, very important trust and awareness campaigns.
That's besides the ecosystem.
Yes.
That you're saying that
Definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Does the central bank plan to doing a more comprehensive financial literacy campaign for digital financial services?
Mm-hmm. For that thing, as a financial literacy or financial education, we already started last scholastic year with grade 7. It will continue as a financial education plan. We are targeting all terms and related activities to life of people for financial services and financial education. In terms of financial education, we want to prepare a new generation that are well aware of the benefits and values of having any access to formal financial services.
So you already started in grade 7,
Grade 7.
in both public and private schools?
In all schools in the country,
Okay.
because we target both genders, all caliber of the societies, all geographical areas in the kingdom, whether Jordanian or non-Jordanian. So the best way to do it is to go to them at specific age, to their places, to be included within their education system, but in a very informative and interactive way. So we already started, and this will continue. But as for the question asking about awareness campaign, we will launch our awareness campaign a week after Eid Ramadan, and the time frame from our side as a central bank is end of this year, 2016. We will assess the impact of the campaign, and according to the results, we might decide to go into more campaigns. This is like the official campaign, utilizing medias and utilizing TV, or all these things. As for conducting workshops to people we are targeting, this will never stop, because even one of our objectives within the central bank objectives is to disseminate knowledge, to enhance knowledge and awareness in all types of terms, whether in economics or in financial services.
The related question about the targeted segments of customers who will be the users of these e-wallets. Can you tell us who are these, and how and why they will be using these e-wallets?
Okay. Mainly mobile payments in Jordan, focusing and directly targeting unbanked people, because they don't have access to financial services. All people, they need financial services. And evidences prove that poor people are the best money managers, so they don't have access to formal financial services. However, they save, regardless of the way they save. They borrow money from relatives, cousins, neighbors, friends, communities, unions. But the cost of informal financial services is quite high, because you might lose everything. We want to provide them with formal financial services, but to be accommodated to their needs, specific needs, like a small amount of savings, easy withdrawals, simplified KYC requirements, all these stuff. So mainly we are targeting the unbanked, but definitely even banked people will benefit from mobile wallets. Adding to that, Jordan is a youth country. And according to the UN, the definition of adults is people between or after 15. By law, youth between 15 to 18 are not allowed by law to open their own saving accounts and to operate them. However, we know many people are obliged to go to the labor market. They might become the head of their households at such age, but still they cannot have access to formal financial services. So this is a formal financial service. This will enable them, will help them. The same applies on many of women or girls. They get married, they don't have bank accounts. They work from their residences, but they cannot have easy access to transactional accounts at banks. So we are targeting all unbanked people, all vulnerable people and poor, but at the same time, I'm confident that the service will as well serve banked people for their micropayments, daily micropayments.
And what do you think the main services that they are going to benefit from and they are going to use?
I believe, as it happened in most of the countries, person to person could be the most needed from their perspective. or the most used, because when you want to send money to anyone, could it be costly or inconvenient? It needs you to transfer, to commute, to deliver the amount, regardless of the size of amount. However, by mobile payment, it's like instant transfer of funds within the country. But I believe transacting for purchases, executing purchases, for bills, for all types of payments, it's very important. These services would facilitate their life, will reduce the transaction cost. But I believe the most important one for them is basic saving platform. Even if you want to save a small amount, it's very convenient for you and very secured. So this is very important. It will enhance the pattern and behavior for future savings. It might help you to accumulate savings for some emergencies in the future. And most of poor people, their income is seasonal or daily labored. Today I might get money, but the other coming 2 days I might not be able to earn money. So I need definitely to save for at least 2 days. I would have a safe place to put my money.
So now merchants are connected or can be connected with these services, right?
From day one.
From day one.
From day one, they are allowed to connect. But this is not our direct mission. This is the mobile payment service providers' job, and they already started. But still, very modest, improvements in this area. However, after Ramadan, I believe when it comes to their planned launching of the service, I believe we will start witnessing huge adoption and acquiring for the merchants.
Does that include loan disbursements and repayments of loans by other financial institutions like the microfinance institutions?
We already have one of the microfinancial institutions that are on board of the service, and we will be launching piloting with 2 of them very shortly, because definitely this is a service that will all benefit from them, whether people dealing with microfinancial institutions or microfinancial institutions themselves. So this is like one of the very important service for them.
Currently, according to the regulation, there are certain restrictions on how to treat these deposits, and it's not 100% treated as savings when you compare it to savings accounts at a bank, right? So what's the strategy of the central bank in this regard?
This is a very good question and very important. We are actually encouraging the mobile payment service providers to start looking for the opportunities to integrate with bank services, to link the wallets with the official saving accounts, where the mobile wallet holders can have official saving accounts, where they can transfer from their wallet to the account, vice versa. But this would require further know your customer requirements. But this is something that for us is a very important and very critical, definitely. We want all people living on our precious lands in Jordan to have affordable, convenient and safe access to all formal financial services.
We all heard about the recent hacking attempts in some central banks in the SWIFT platform, and I would like to hear your opinion about any changes, any ratifications on that from the central bank side on the security issue.
Yes, definitely. We followed all information and the news. We contacted the central banks who were attacked. We sent part of our security team to SWIFT to Belgium to see what happened, to analyze what happened accordingly, and with the assistance of SWIFT specialists, we took extraordinary measures to protect our networks, our systems, our data warehousing. And we started the workshops for the banking community who use SWIFT. This is for SWIFT networks. As for the PSPs, the licensed PSPs, we already have within our platforms and systems that don't use SWIFT. We use other types of closed networks. We already reassessed our security measures, and we also invited some third parties to conduct more penetration tests and to reassess our security measures. There is no need for any enhancement at this stage. We have our policies for data protection, for consumer data protection, all these, and we are very satisfied within the current measures and controls.
Let's move now to the different systems like e-Fawatircom, JomoPay, banks e-wallets, and how will these services be connected and related to each other?
I will start by, we don't have in Jordan something called like bank wallets or MNO wallets. We have mobile wallets for licensed institutions. Whether they are MNOs, they have to apply for financial institution services to be regulated and supervised by us. So we have mobile wallets. We followed the level playing field approach in this regard. So this is a service regardless of who provides the service as a financial institution.
So this is under JomoPay? Under
JomoPay. So for mobile wallets, for e-Fawatircom, and for bank accounts, we can say.
And for those who don't know e-Fawatircom is the bill payment and presentment system.
Yes.
Owned and housed at the central bank.
Yes, it's operated by a company that won the tender to operate on our behalf, but it is our system, controlled by us, monitored by us, and even all regulations and instructions within the system is fully controlled by the Central Bank of Jordan.
And now it's already being used by the e-government program, right?
Definitely. Yeah. It now enabled the program of e-government to start get the payments. And at this moment we have more than 1,200,000 transactions. In total amounts exceeds our like target. So for the e-Fawatircom, which is electronic bill presentment and payment system, the system provides one link to all billers in the country, to all banks and other financial institutions. For bank people using the conventional and the unconventional channels for their banks, they can get the service to have their bills presented and paid. But what about the unbanked? The unbanked, we offer different channels like post office, like kiosks and other channels. But we want the unbanked people who have mobile wallets to have the full pledge of these services that are offered to the bank in the same manner, same menu, same features, same facilities. So we worked on the integration between JomoPay and e-Fawatircom. At this moment, you can go check the UAT, the tests conducted between the two systems. It's ready to go live by end of Ramadan. We are talking about less than 2 weeks from now. So for the mobile wallet, we need the mobile payment service providers to ensure the development of this service on the applications and the USSD menu. So you can get into your mobile wallet, you will find e-Fawatircom services, you save your profile, your bill numbers, then it's like something you have it as any other banked client.
And how many billers are registered at the system now?
At this moment, we have almost 55 billers, could be slightly higher, but most of the billers have more than one service. So we have now more than 100 services within the system, and they are functioning very well. People are happy because we conduct market surveys, we have questionnaires, we get like feedback person to person, and we are very satisfied with the results of this system.
So I can see how you will complete the connection where people with bank accounts are using these services.
Yes.
Through internet banking or mobile banking, and now you
ATMs, even at the counter of the bank.
And now even for unbanked, they can currently use it on the counter at the post offices, etc. But with the mobile wallet, connecting it with the system, that would change, and that would complete actually the picture.
Yes. 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 Unbanked people will have their mobile wallets to conduct person to person, person to merchant, person to government, then to get all services provided by eFawatIrCom. All billers, once they are added to eFawatIrCom, they will be automatically added and offered to the bank wallets.
So what is the CBJ future plan to maintain the proper delivery and use of digital financial services?
This is very important. With technology and innovation, you cannot provide something then stop improving. It's something like innovation is very fast and very continuous. We need to keep on following up. For the current and existing delivery channels, we will keep on monitoring, assessing, supervising, even conducting mystery shoppers, analyzing everything, and we will keep on learning. Central Bank of Jordan, I need to admit, it's a very continuous learning organization. And we keep on having feedback from the market, having meetings, getting the needs from the market. And to facilitate even the adoption of new innovations in a very secured and efficient manner, we further need to be fast and agile in regulating these services. So we are currently in the process of communicating with many regulators, many institutions worldwide to check the new technology of RegTech, where we have the marriage of regulation and technology, where we can benefit from having real-time online monitoring, data collection, assessing. So we are like working like 24/7 on these topics to enable keeping on improving, keeping on facilitating life of people, delivering these channels. We might even consider some unconventional channels like schools, universities for their students, where they can enroll in the official financial services. We will not stop. We will never stop. We will keep on improving, learning from others, and even trying to innovate.
We got this question about having the proper dynamic framework and structure to support these services. Are we ready for that? So do we have this?
Sure. Of course, we have a very comprehensive framework, whether from regulations or operations. From regulations, we're working on issuing a new bylaw for all electronic transaction and financial services. We are working on, as I mentioned earlier, financial consumer protection law and full mechanism. We're working on improving the delivery channels, on cooperating with all stakeholders to provide the full package of financial services, even not only basic saving accounts, even could be in the future basic insurance services. So this is something we will never stop on looking at. We already have a strategy, we already have an action plan, but we keep on improving it, revising it, learning, improving. Any deviation from our plan is always well revised and monitored, and hopefully we will be able to face all the challenges with the innovation, with the challenges, with security challenges, cultural needs and adaptation. We are working on all these topics very hard and on a continuous basis.
Recent developments actually put a big task on the shoulder of the central bank, because now the payment services are under your mandate and to supervise and regulate, which wasn't actually in the recent past. And also I heard that the insurance services will also move under your mandate, so that's a big task also to handle. So I can see that there's a lot to do, and you will be very busy in the recent future.
Yes, you're absolutely right. To be frank with you, mainly central banks, very conventional central banks, used to take care of monetary policy, about banking supervision and other types of functions and services. But recently we expanded our mandate. We included the microfinancial services within our umbrella, payment systems oversight and operations, financial literacy, in terms of financial literacy, financial consumer protection, and recently insurance.
Financial inclusion.
Financial inclusion, this is something that became one of our priorities, to be frank. We want to comply with the world's vision for 2020, less poverty, better life, more financially included people, creating more jobs according to this vision. The central bank accepted all these challenges, and we're working very hard. This is something like adding all these together. It's not an easy mission. It's a huge challenge, but I'm confident we are up to it.
Recently, the national financial inclusion strategy was launched in Jordan.
Yes. Yeah. The process to develop the national strategy, we're working on it. With the cooperation of Germany as support for this initiative. We started working on that. We will be hosting in November this year as well a very important event for women's financial inclusion and women's banking event.
Move back to the JOMO Pay system, and given that the regulation allows from day one interoperability, and also states on the importance of non-exclusivity for agents, how do you see competition between the service providers in light of that?
We mandated interoperability, full interoperability from day one. This is very important, and Jordan became like the role model for the world in terms of interoperability, because we ensured it through the centralized switch, JOMO Pay. So regardless of the mobile network operator, regardless of the service provider or agents, people still can enter any place using any SIM provider to execute and to do whatever they want. And non-exclusivity of agents, this is, at least we need to respect other laws in Jordan. We have the competition law that doesn't allow any kind of monopoly. And this does not contradict in any way with market competition and the market share. For all service providers, they need to compete to provide better services, better prices, even cooperation and integration with other financial services. They have bank accounts, savings, basic saving accounts, so they can cooperate with banks. They can cooperate for Islamic products related to mobile wallets, for durable goods and disbursements, providing incentives, basic and fundamental insurance services. They have many things to compete for, so it's not only through agents, definitely, or interoperability. On the other hand, interoperability serves service providers, because they will have more, at least inward transactions. So it's not only inclusive to transactions within their loop. Now it's open, so they can benefit from their network, from other networks, from their wallets, from others' wallets.
And looking at it from the consumer's perspective, it's much better for me to get this service which is fully interoperable with other wallets, no matter, as you said, no matter the service provider or the mobile operator, to be able to do that, the P2P and all of that, without any problem. That would be an excellent service for the customers.
Sure, we can see in some countries people have to hold all the time two mobile devices because they have two different SIM provider, two different mobile wallets. So if I want to send money to you, I might need to use this device. If I want to send to another one, I will need the other one. So this is not even convenient. It's even cost that is not justifiable. So we wanted the most efficient service and ecosystem.
What do you see the most promising initiative in Jordan targeting the unbanked?
I can say at this moment the most promising initiative to enhance the adoption of mobile wallets. If we look at it from this side, I would consider public transportation. And we had several meetings with the Ministry of Transportation. They want to make all payments cashless payments for public transportation. And the cost of issuing prepaid cards for transportation is huge. The cost of having a platform to monitor and to execute these payments, to do the clearing at the end of the day is very expensive for them. And at the end of the day, people will end up with having many prepaid cards. If we want a prepaid card for transportation, another one for health services, and other one for bakeries or all these. So people will end up having a huge bulk of cards, while the mobile wallet can serve all these institutions and all these initiatives. So we started our discussion with them to see if they have any specific need where we need to customize for them. And luckily, the setting of Jomo Pay enables all kinds of services, and the public transportation might become paid by mobile wallet. It's like tap and go, where you can control the subsidies that the government provide to, for example, university students. You can monitor the itinerary of the buses or other vehicles. You can control the consumption. You can even have data on like queuing at this station, if the vehicles are sufficient or not, what people consume. Maybe people at this station, they spend money for coffee, for sandwiches, for cigarettes, so they can even give information how to allocate some other projects to serve people. Maybe other areas you can alternate the vehicles to serve other areas at different timing. So it's like something that would benefit the economy on all levels of micro and macroeconomic. And I think the public transportation would be the most important one and promising one.
I think this brings us to the importance of using the data available from these services, right?
Yes.
So what are the plans for the central bank to utilize, how it will be gathered, how it will be analyzed, all of this data, not only from the transportation, but from all these services?
Abiding by and respecting the consumer data protection, we can benefit huge benefits from the data from mobile payments. Luckily, the switch was built to collect and analyze these data, but we will need later on to integrate it with some big data engines to analyze further. We can collect data on health services, public health services. We can collect data on university students' consumption and behavior. We can later on integrate all the data and pattern of your income, your consumption, and your commitment to pay your bills and your dues for a credit bureau. So this system will enable people later on to have some credit history. They will become eligible to get some loans from banks or other financial institutions. Currently, this is a very critical problem where people might approach, especially entrepreneurs, small entrepreneurs, micro institutions, where they approach banks or other financial service providers for some credit facilities or loans, and they cannot get that because they lack all types of credit history. But with mobile payments, you can benefit from these engines and intelligent engines to build some profile on these people, to conduct some cognitive risk assessment on these people as well, where you can get less risk when you give them any kind of credit.
And one can see the huge benefits for the service provider, whether banks or non-bank financial institutions, and the consumer side.
Definitely.
Making use of this, let's say, untraditional data and financial data and history about the consumer behavior and behavior.
Adding to that, we live in a world, the most powerful weapon is information. So when you have this very comprehensive sources of information where you can analyze them on real time, and this is very important as well, real-time information, you can have better decision making. You will be like more able as a government institutions, as other decision makers, to have like informed decisions.
You talked about the possibility of person-to-person transfers. Is it open also for the local transactions and international transactions?
At this moment, first, the switch is built to allow cross borders and domestic transfers. But at this moment, we are only allowing domestic transfers. Later on, when the mass adoption proves that it's up to what we are looking for, very secured and safe, we will start coordination with other regions to allow cross-border remittances.
How many service providers now have got the license, and when do you think the service will really pick up? And
currently, we have 4 licensed service providers. 2 of them are providing the service on the live environment. The number of wallets still small, but it exceeded 25,000 wallets. The other 2 service providers, they are in their final stages to move from test environment into the live environment. But according to the documents they provided us, their plan to launch massively is after Ramadan and after Eid.
And these are all non-banks?
Non-banks, yes. We have many of the banks who are already linked to Jomo Pay. This allows transfer and execution from bank accounts. It's more mobile banking than mobile wallet, but from my bank account, I can transfer to your wallet, vice versa. And this is not provided in other countries. This is an interoperability we wanted to ensure. Banks to mobile wallets, vice versa.
And when I hear a non-bank providing this service and me giving a non-bank money to deposit, so one of the questions that were being raised is, where is the money? Where is it kept?
This is the most important question for all people who are interested in this service. Where are my money? The money actually are held fully in the banking system. Before you give your money to any agent or to any service provider, the system ensures that these amounts are collateralized within the banking system for the favor of mobile holders. So if you go to any shop or any agent or any company, if you want to deposit in your wallet 100 JDs, make sure that instantly it's registered at the Central Bank of Jordan, and before you put your money, the 100 JDs are placed in a bank account for the favor of the bank wallet.
And all of this will be executed within the Jomo Pay switch?
Within the Jomo Pay switch. And this is very well insured and monitored. So if you go to any place where you want to deposit money, if your service provider doesn't have enough collaterals, it will be rejected, so you will not give the money.
It's all a prepaid service?
It's all prepaid mobile wallets, 100% backed up by cash collaterals, 100% safeguarded.
So the word safeguarded would move me to a different, I think it's a very related topic, which is deposit guarantee.
Mm-hmm.
And in the future, I would expect that the amount of money being pooled in that account
Mm-hmm.
from thousands, tens of thousands of customers will be held in the same account,
Mm-hmm.
which means that it will exceed the limit protected by the insurance, by the deposit insurance guarantee scheme already available.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any plans to develop this to include these small virtual accounts within that scheme?
Yes, you're absolutely right, and this is something Central Bank of Jordan wouldn't have missed, definitely. Currently, the deposit insurance schemes, they cover for individual accounts up to a specific limit. But for pool accounts, there's something like special treatment like pension funds and other retirement funds or these funds. So since it's a pool of accounts of several people, definitely the outstanding amounts within the bank will exceed the limit of protected deposit. First of all, we allow by law differentiation where you can allocate the collateral in different banks, so you can diversify your risk towards the bank. As for the deposit insurance, we are still working on this with our stakeholders, and we are looking into countries who already implemented such schemes to learn from their mistakes and to come up with something like to be customized and according to our laws and our culture and our regulations. So this will be definitely introduced, but at this moment we are not concerned about this because the amount is still very modest, but this is something that will be introduced shortly.
There's a question about the difference between the two systems, the electronic bill payment and presentment system, e-Fawatircom, and the mobile wallet, Jomo Pay. Could you briefly talk about the difference between the two schemes, the two systems?
Yes, actually the difference is huge between these two platforms. Jomo Pay is a payment platform. It's totally payment switch where fully financial transactions are conducted, recorded, monitored, analyzed. So when I send you money from my mobile wallet, it passes through Jomo Pay to validate and allow this amount according to my outstanding balance or sufficient balance. Then it ensures that you will be paid the amount instantly. While the electronic bill presentment and payment system, e-Fawatircom, it's a national switch or platform that works as a vehicle between all billers and governmental institutions and the banks or Jomo Pay and other service providers. This only requires the billers, this is the bill number. Tell me how much is the due amount. So it gets the information from the biller. It passes these information to your bank or to your service provider, where this bank or service provider will tell you your due amount is this amount. You order your bank or service provider to deduct from your bank account or wallet, then it sends the reply to the biller that your amount has been deducted and this amount is paid to you. So e-فواتيركم is a vehicle that sends notifications, brings information, ensures that your account is deducted while the biller's account is paid. But JomoPay is a fully payment platform. It executes the payments.
But the two systems actually both complement each other, because they will, when they are connected, they will target the unbanked, the big number of people in the country without bank accounts or not dealing with the formal financial system. And at the same time, I think both of them, if I'm correct, both of them operate on a real-time transaction basis, right? So it's all real-time.
You are absolutely right. They integrate, they complement each other, and they work for each other as service provider. So JomoPay for e-فواتيركم, it's a service provider because it brings to e-فواتيركم all unbanked people, where they benefit from the list of billers. On the other hand, e-فواتيركم provides JomoPay with all necessary information. So this integration definitely complement each other for the ultimate objective of serving people who are unbanked or who prefer to utilize their mobile wallets for these type of payments instead of using their bank account directly or cash from their pocket.
Currently, when the two services available in the market now have been launched for mobile wallets, currently it's now connected via the internet, right?
Yes.
And so you would need a smartphone for that.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, the system, if I understand correctly, the system also allows USSD transactions, which is available for all types of phones.
Mm-hmm.
So when do you think the USSD will be available also for these services?
I will be very frank and honest in this regard. The interoperability of USSD was mandated by Central Bank of Jordan, and we were very much aware of the challenges for USSD. Until this moment, we haven't have any country worldwide that provides USSD interoperability. One of the challenges, the MNOs were very delayed in implementing the USSD menu and our requirements. Till this moment, we have one of the three MNOs that tested with us and fully operational. Luckily, the second one should be maybe today or within a week time. We will finish testing with them. The third and the biggest one, until this moment, their service provider or technology provider is still lagged behind. But this is one challenge, as MNOs were not as responsive as we hoped. The second one, the interoperability in USSD, contains type of security risks. When we discussed it at early stages internally and with the MNOs, we took all necessary measures. But still, the remaining risk for us, it's like something we don't prefer. But to minimize these risks, it will put huge investments on the MNOs. The feasibility of mitigating these risks or minimizing these risks to the cost is very huge, does not justify. And we don't want the MNOs to reflect these costs on ultimate customers. So we contacted all MNOs maybe in the world, all security technical security providers worldwide. During international global conferences and events, we started to discuss it, and we recruited a special consulting firm from the US to see how we can solve this one. And luckily, from here, I can announce that we reached to a solution, feasible one, very innovative, and it would be like for the whole world, very optimal solution. We conducted the stress testing on it, and the residual risk is very minimal, very affordable, and we are more than willing to accept and to implement this new measures. I invited the MNOs for tomorrow's meeting to discuss it. The requirements on the MNOs is trivial, so it will not expose them to further investments and costs. There is a small part from the central bank we need to enhance. After that, the model of Jordan of fully interoperable USSD service will become like the window for new hope for the whole world to implement USSD.
So you already will plan to adopt more security enhancements on
Yes.
the USSD to cover the risks that you mentioned.
Actually, this risk only evolved because of fully interoperable. So with all the previous controls and measurements, still the residual risk from our side, as a central bank, we were not willing to take. In the remaining countries that now provide USSD service for mobile payments, it's still there, but without interoperability, so my risk is remaining with my MNO provider. But we don't want the interoperability to expose my PIN to other MNO or even to the same MNO. The residual risk for Central Bank of Jordan is not acceptable, not within our risk appetite. For other countries, this is something they can do whatever they want. But when they heard about our initiative to come up with a new revolutionary innovation in solving this problem, I can assure that many of these countries are looking forward to the results of Jordan's initiative. And after the stress testing, we are confident and satisfied with the results.
How do the central bank anticipate the increase in the number of people dealing with banks and the formal financial system after launching these services?
Including people within the formal financial system does not mean directly increasing the number of people having bank accounts. We have to notice and realize this difference. Access to formal financial services, whether microfinancial institutions or mobile service providers, this is something, it's different than bank account, but at the same time, it's a formal transactional account. It's a mirror to bank account. That's what we target in the first place, to have like a safe, efficient transactional account where you can save, where you can transact. After that, if you want to move into licensed banks to have a bank account or to integrate the mobile wallets with basic saving accounts with banks, this is even much more and more than what we are targeting at this stage or at this moment. So financial inclusion, in the term of financial inclusion, providing access to affordable, convenient, safe, formal financial services to people who are deprived from having this. After that, if the market is active, they will definitely include more people within the formal system, then people will start moving towards having saving accounts, transactional accounts with the licensed banks. But what's the most important is to provide people with services. It's not a KPI or a number that we want to brag that we achieved. It's the value added, the benefits for people. That's what we are targeting, and this is our ultimate objective.
So based on that, I would see, and based on what you said earlier, that what are the targeted clients and consumers that you are targeting in these services. And secondly, let's, as an example, for deposits, you would enhance these services to be able to provide deposit accounts as in any other accounts with all the benefits that they will have, right?
Yes, definitely.
The next question is a long one, but I think it's based on some misunderstanding that I've been hearing quite often in many forums. I will read the question for you. It goes like, are there concerns that the non-refundable licensing fee will make it very difficult for PSPs to enter the market and break even on their investment, causing them to spend less money on items like customer education, marketing, etc.? And if so, does the central bank anticipate supporting these two initiatives by providing funds to PSPs to do provider-specific education?
Wow, this is something I noticed recently. It reflects definitely a huge misunderstanding. They are talking about the minimum capital required to be licensed. Actually, the minimum capital required to license any financial institution to provide mobile payment services is $1.5 million dinar, which is equivalent almost to $2 million. This amount was not put haphazardly. We investigated. If you want to provide such a service, you will need software, you will need hardwares, you will need to invest in marketing other services. According to the optimal proportion of equity and debt, the 1.5 million JD was the most reasonable amount. We consulted all potential service providers for this amount. I can now assure you that many of them suggested even more than that. So how can how can the central bank license a service provider if you want to put capital in, for example, 100,000, and you're asked to put investment in hardware and software in amount that exceeds 2 million? This is not like logic. So this is nothing that they will pay for us, and it's not refundable. This is their investment. This is their money. But we want to ensure that they are well capitalized, they are financially stable to provide the service. So they will be dealing with people's money. So we cannot take a risk of like the small shops to provide such a service. This is not a fee. This is capital, paid capital to start their investment.
It's not a licensing fee.
It's not a licensing
It's a minimum
fee.
capital requirement.
It's a minimum
so
capital.
it's a usual thing.
And again, I will repeat, the amount was not put haphazardly. And for myself, I still believe that we should have put even higher. But we wanted to facilitate the service provider's life. We even subsidized the service by allowing them to link to the switch without any access fees. We waived the fees for 3 years. We took the initiatives of interoperability USSD. We put the investment of NFC integration with other services and other payment platforms. So we put investment in awareness campaigns. So we took many of the initiatives on their behalf. We are even working hard to ensure for them a high level of demand. So this is something we cannot allow small shops to provide services that involves people's money.
So you already look at the central bank as not only the supervising and regulatory body, but also as a partner in promoting and promoting these services.
We are partners.
Yes.
We are partners in all our services, because our ultimate goal and objective is always to protect people, protect institutions, and ultimately to protect the economy and the country.
You mentioned the fee structure or the fees for these services. So now currently the PSPs or the service providers are able to connect free on Jomo Pay. In the future, will that change?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. There is access fees, because this is a huge switch that will require maintenance, improvement, upgrades. So who benefit from the switch and who make profits from the switch, they need to participate in maintaining the level of service. So this is like in all countries worldwide, and we need some cushion for some risks in the future to structurally maybe upgrade the switch. So this is something that a normal practice in all payment systems. Participants who are official participants in any switch, they have to pay for the switch to ensure sustainability and improvement for the future.
So is the central bank open for changing the limits on the transaction and balance currently stated in the regulation?
Yes.
For the mobile wallets?
According to the level of income and consumption, we decided the limits. After definitely classification of the types of functions. So person to person, it is different than person to merchant or government or business. So we conducted classification. Currently, we are looking into the limits. We will revise them. We promised the market that these limits are not like the end of the world. So according to the first phase of implementation, we will revise it definitely to accommodate with people's needs and according to the new indicators in the market.
What's the central bank's policy in regarding pricing of these services from the service providers?
Respecting the service providers' benefits and concerns, we left it to the market to decide according to demand and supply powers in the market, with the full right for the central bank to intervene if there is a necessity to put like limits, caps on fees. But this is up to the market forces to decide.
Now let's move to agents. And I think agents are the critical element of having these services successful.
Yes.
And so who can be an agent?
Agents are the most critical ingredient for successful adoption, because accessibility depends on agents. Addition to non-exclusivity, anyone could be an agent. The relationship between the regulator and the service providers is principle-based. However, between service providers and their agents, it's agent relationship. So who is full liable in front of the central bank is the principal. However, we cannot leave it to the service providers. The agents is a very critical factor. Adding to that, risks associated with agents are huge. So there are guidelines for agents. Adding to what was mentioned in our framework, now we are in the process of introducing to the market agent guidelines. And today, this morning, we disseminated this draft to the service providers to get feedback from them. The agent guidelines would cover super agents, normal agents, enforcing non-exclusivity, and all types. Adding to that, service providers should inform us about any new agents, and we have to approve the agent contract between, there will be something like standard contract between the service providers and their agents, regardless of the classification of agents, but we are monitoring agents.
So just to make it clear, you will be approving the standard agent contract?
Yes.
And not each agent's involvement?
Yes, definitely.
That would be left for the service providers?
Yes.
Will that also include super agents?
Definitely. Super agents have more roles and responsibilities to provide in the market, so it covers super agents.
Are there any constraints for agent cash out services? Because as you know, that would, if there is such a thing, that would mean that clients would need to go to several agents in order to cash out the amount that they want.
No, they will not need to visit several agents, but there is a limit on cashing out, definitely. Even banks, even if you have a bank account, you have limits. Even ATM machine, you have daily limit. But if you go to ATM and you get what you want, you cannot go to another ATM that would exceed your daily limit. So there is a daily limit on your wallet, regardless. Even if you visit several agents, you will not be able to cash out because it's centralized. The switch will notice that you are exceeding your cashing out limit per day. But the cashing out, this is something universal because you cannot ask any agent to maintain a huge amount of money. This is one. Second, it's a kind of layer of protection for customers. They cannot get it out. Adding to that, the limit for cashing out limit is very logical and realistic because once you can conduct all your purchases or all your payments from your wallet, why would you need to cash out a huge amount? So it's also well set.
Going back to deposits, and because it's a very hot topic and you hear the question everywhere. Will there be in the future, will it be allowed for the customer to benefit from any interest accrued on his or her account?
This is a very, very hot and debatable topic. Maybe it's one of the most debatable topics. Looking at countries who adopted mobile wallets and who succeeded in providing mobile wallets, most of them, they don't allow interest-bearing for mobile wallets balances because it's very active, so and small amounts. But as a pool of account, still we have a debate on interest-bearing. Currently, our framework doesn't allow giving interest to mobile wallets. But in the future, we will reconsider it. We will revisit this term and article because at the end of the day, it's their right. They can. But still, current accounts with banks, they don't have interest rates. So if in the future, the market participants will follow our dream and our vision to allow integrated services within the Jomo Pay, to allow having some specific saving accounts, these saving accounts could have interest, but the transactional account not necessarily. However, we promise that we will revisit and revise this term for the benefit of all parties providing the service and getting the service. But currently we don't see any need due to the very small amounts, the volatility of the balances within the account, and at the same time justification compared to transactional and current accounts with banks.
Final question regarding the plans of the central bank of adopting a tiered-based approach for KYC. And when we say that, we don't mean also not only for clients but also for agents and merchants. So any plans?
Yes. Yes, definitely. This is very critical. Central Bank of Jordan is always very concerned about the integrity of our financial system. And we cannot jeopardize this integrity, especially within the situation we are living now and the geopolitical risks surrounding Jordan. We allowed simplified KYC because it's a proportional risk management for individuals. But at the same time, since all participants, whether individuals or merchants or agents or corporates, are registered within JomoPay, then tiering KYC requirements are a must, and they are already embedded within the system. It applies as well on agents. For the principal to recruit agents, they need to conduct agents' due diligence, agents' KYC, whether super agent or normal agent. And definitely for super agents, they will have to be more prudent and more cautious, as well as for merchants. And these are something very supportive to Jordan to adopt, because Jordan, since decades, we have a very comprehensive, robust a national ID system scheme, whether for individuals or for corporates. For registered corporates, they have it. Even for non-Jordanians or refugees, we still have a reference where we can identify the identity of the user of this service. And this is something all within the system and protected. JomoPay is as well linked to the national database of our civil service department.
Again, thank you very much for your time and for the information that you provided. I'm sure you covered all the questions that were pending after the forum. Would you like to add anything?
First, you are almost welcome, and we are always here to answer any questions. This is something that Central Bank of Jordan would love always to follow the approach of being very transparent to all market participants, to understand what we are doing, to cooperate in a better manner. To add something, I would love to revisit your question for data, the utilization and benefits of data. I said definitely we will always respect regulations of data privacy. This is something we would never ever touch. If there is any need at any time to benefit or utilize any of data that are related to the customers, we will get the permission, personal direct permission from customers. And it's up to them whether they allow or not. The information that will be, or data that will be used, it will be very anonymous, like we would collect geographical coverage of the service. So gender, we can say that, for example, we have 1 million wallets, 60% male or female, the million wallets served or covered, 60% who are unbanked. And this is very important to know what geographical locations were served and to analyze if there's any geographical location that was not well served. So we might even ask the participants to give more effort and service to these areas. So general information, but would nothing breach the privacy of any customer.
And will these information be made public?
Definitely. These are like information that would benefit all participants in the country. And it's nothing that would harm anyone. But anything more than that would definitely require getting personal signature and information. Another thing, in Jordan, according to the e-government agenda, the new national ID with a smart chip is supposed to be introduced shortly, maybe in August or September. This will serve even more protecting data, could even facilitate later on digital enrollment of people, because you will ensure that this person who is enrolling and registering to get the service. It will not even require in the future physical visit to the location of the agent to register. Once we have this robust, strong digital signature, digital identification of the user, We will even facilitate the requirements for enrollment.
Again, thank you very much.
You are most welcome.